Yeah, I can. And that's my tease right here. We are keeping the tastes of summer as we gear into fall and winter from Homesteaders Emporium. We are talking canning and preserving. It's easier than you think. We'll be right back. Yeah, exactly. And what a great gift. And I mean, I have memories as a kid, Natalie, you know, going down to my grandmother's cellar or even my mother's cellar and, you know, being the lucky person that got to pick out the pickles or the jam or whatever. And I just never think of it, I guess, for apartment living.
Oh, it's totally possible for apartment living. You don't need to invest space or money in large objects. If you have a big pot in your house already, by all means, just use it. Don't invest necessarily in a huge canning pot. And just a couple of the smaller tools, which are easy to stow away. This guy is going to save you a lot of pain getting your jars in and out of hot water.
Yeah, that's always one of the things. You see the jars and there's like, now what do I do?
Yeah, and same, when you're putting your lids and rings in there for sanitizing, once they've been in there for 10 minutes, you just use your magnet tool to get them out.
So those are basic things that you can get at places like Homesteaders Emporium, which is where we're at right now. And there, of course, is just so many things that we can actually preserve and can, and it truly is a way to sort of keep that summer and that harvest into the fall. So other basic tools that you might need?
Yeah, this funnel it doesn't completely eliminate mess, but it does mitigate it. So that's for when you're ladling food into your jars.
Okay.
Which you'll see a little later.
And then, of course, you're going to need basic measuring tools as well.
Yeah, so everything else besides those 3 main tools and a big pot, everything else is standard in your kitchen. If you kind of get involved and start finding that you want to do more advanced canning things, like, you know, a lot of applesauce or whatnot, getting something like this that turns your apples and takes the peels and everything off.
And the sterilizing also so important. Again, water jars, how long does it stay in the water for?
These guys are going to stay in here for 10 minutes. Okay. Usually they end up staying there longer if you're just getting everything else ready. You just put them in there and forget about it until you're ready to fill your jars.
Well, we're going to fill those jars coming up in the next segments throughout the morning. Jody, by the way, Natalie also does several workshops. Keep an eye on her website for more details. We'll have more coming here from Homesteaders Emporium. Little Bob Marley, we're jamming. We're definitely jamming, Natalie. And using apples, which is just a great classic fruit as we sort of gear into fall, right?
Absolutely. It's one of the big harvest items right now. Keep on turning.
Keep going, keep on going.
You can feed these little guys to your kids if you're into getting them involved in your apple coring experience. So this handy tool just helps us to save time. We're finishing up getting all of our ingredients together here. And
for a chunky apple jam.
That's right.
And this, you said, is a very good beginner jam for people to make, right?
It is. I would suggest a jam versus a jelly. Jellies are a little bit more difficult. I'm going to add some water.
And I'm doing the nutmeg here. Why are jellies a little more difficult than a jam for people?
They just don't gel as consistently as something with solids in it.
Okay.
We're adding lemon juice to increase our acid level.
And also, I guess, the browning of the apple would sort of be halted
by the lemon juice. Yeah,
does it matter though if they kind of turn brown or if these are a bit?
It's more about aesthetics than safety. And so over here we've got the jam already simmered down nicely. So all of our ingredients have already been added to this pot. And what we're going to do is get in our sugar and pectin.
Okay.
So one nice thing about canning your own food is that you can control the sugar levels in jams, because conventional jams have a lot of sugar in them. And so you can dial this down right down to 1 cup.
What if you wanted to use something like honey?
You could do that.
Or
yeah. The
agave.
pectin that we're using today is called Pomona's Universal Pectin, and it definitely it's meant to be used with a low amount of sugar.
Okay, and as you're doing that, what is pectin for people that don't quite know?
It is a naturally occurring chemical that lives in the skins of most fruit. Some fruit are really high in pectin and some are really low. And citrus is very high.
Okay.
And so it's got a lot of pectin in there. And so this product is derived from the peels.
And so from start to finish, how long would it typically take you to make an apple jam like this?
Usually, with everything ready and out, you can be done within 2 hours for sure.
Within 2 hours for some delicious jam, or you can just get it ready-made from East Van Jam, various markets. Check out eastvanjam.com for more details. Michelle, look how beautiful that looks like. Oh, I could crave some jam right now. Heat a whole jar of it. Yeah, exactly. And you know, we're finishing up our chunky apple jam, and very quickly we had to make sure we boiled the jam. Why is that important?
The jam needs to be boiled because it's the way we control our bacteria.
Okay.
And it goes back into the processor for 10 minutes.
Which we have here.
This one's already been in for 10 minutes. This guy we're going to finish off and get back into the canner.
Perfect. I'll let you continue on with that. Coming up next, though, we're going from jam to one of my favorites, dilled carrots. Oh yes, it's hanging out with East Van Jam here at Homesteaders Emporium. We'll be right back. Yeah, located just in the 600 block of East Hastings, and so many things here, everything from baking items to cookbooks to even like beekeeping, right? But we are actually learning a little bit from Natalie here. We're doing dilled carrots, and these are just kind of one of the many types of workshops that people can access here, right?
Mm-hmm. And carrots in particular are a great harvest season item to can right now, and to pickle in particular. It's a good beginner pickle.
Excellent. So you're just in the process of cutting the carrots right now. Yeah. But what about the pickling part? What do we have to do for that?
Well, we need to prepare a brine. Okay. So in this case, our acid that we're adding instead of lemon juice to control bacteria is vinegar, classic vinegar. White vinegar in this case.
Okay.
And do you want to go ahead and fill some of these?
I will. And so you've got what going on the little burner right now?
So the brining is heating up here. This is called a cold pack. So we're putting our food in uncooked, but we are then adding a boiled brine. And it consists of the vinegar and salt. And we've already prepared our jars with the actual herbs that we like to have in there.
And these have already been sterilized and all that stuff.
Same.
So by doing the cold pack, that would keep them crunchy, I would imagine, too,
Absolutely.
Right?
We're still going to process them in the canner for 15 minutes after we've got them packed. So they'll boil in here for 15 minutes to create the seal and also to ensure that we haven't introduced any new bacteria into the jars. And the processing time is longer because the food is not yet cooked.
Okay, so we would go ahead then and pour the brine in there. And again, how long would you have to let that, how long would these last for actually?
Well, they're good on the shelf for at least a year. So until carrots are back in the garden again in the next season. But you want to let pickles sit in about 2 weeks in the jar before you eat them.
And we know that it's all been sealed properly because there's an audible pop. By the way, more details on East Van Jam. You can check out their website, including Jody, where you can pick up East Van Jam at the many farmers markets. We're here at Homesteaders Emporium, whether you're making bread or cheese or, hey, you even want a chicken coop. This is where you get your chicken coop. We're also doing more canning coming up just before 9 o'clock. Up next, some perfect combinations as far as spices into your canning and also some common mistakes. Something that might go well with apple butter. We're going to show you how you can go from apple sauce to apple butter, and also what are some great flavor combinations when it comes to spices in your canning and in your jamming. That's all coming up next on BT. Yeah, literally pumping up the jam, or in this case, Natalie, we're actually going from an applesauce to an apple butter. So how's this different than the apple chunky jam that we made?
Well, what's different is that we've let it cook down enough that it's not chunky anymore. So it's more like a puree. And you could decide to can it at this stage if you choose. Use it in apple breads and that sort of thing, or just feed it to your little babies. And then if you want to get it going a little farther, we go into the slow cooker and cook it for a little bit longer. So up to 12 hours in your slow cooker. Add some spices and just forget about it for a little while.
So I've got cinnamon, and what else are we putting in here?
We're putting a little bit of allspice.
A little bit of allspice.
And let a little star anise.
And I've never actually used this. Do I
just let her drop in there. And before you actually can it, you'll want to fish it out and make sure no one chews on it whole because it's gross. But yeah, you let that simmer down, and this is the end result. Yeah, so we've got apple butter that is nice and thick. You can use it on oatmeal. You can use it, spread it on your toast.
And there's no pectin in that, so what makes it thick?
It's the long cook, so it's a chance to evaporate more of its liquid.
Let's talk about the combination of spices. I mean, you know, that was pretty basic in there. It's made sense to me, but you have some super cool different combinations. Is there any kind of rule of thumb?
Well, when you're following a recipe and dealing with canning, the safest thing to do is to follow the recipe as far as the ratios to acid and food volume go. So don't play with that. But play with your flavorings, absolutely. So if you want to add a little bit of vanilla or add some lavender to your jam or something like that, those are safe things to change up the recipe with. And just always remember, with East Van Jam in particular, what I try to do is honor the food. So natural characteristics that shine through and just help them along with something a little more rich.
Beautiful. For locations on where you can pick up East Van Jam, of course, various farmers markets, check out their website. Lots of classes here as well at Homesteaders Emporium. Tomorrow, Jody, I'm hanging out at the Fire Hall. Yes, the release of the Hall of Flame calendar. Woo! Big day tomorrow. Thanks so much, Natalie.
Thank you.